for a moment. Okay, I am recording. Hello, welcome. Welcome, super excited. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Corey. All right, so this is our webinar style um, class for the month, which is always on the fourth Wednesday. And it's going to be on this platform. Actually, I think both our calls are on this platform. All right, so I'm just going to get right into it. I'm going to start the presentation. Let me see if it lets me. I'm still getting used to this platform, so just bear with me. Okay, I'm excited to talk about this. This is your ultimate purpose, your Dharma. Your Dharma is the path you are here to walk. And this is really about understanding your ultimate purpose, which allows you to know exactly how to walk the path. So we are going to be talking about ways to market, and it really just comes down to understanding what your path is and how you're meant to be walking that path. So as always, I recommend for these webinar style classes that you have, actually for all of them, always have a copy of your birth chart. I think it's super helpful. I may pop up somebody's birth chart in here. Let's see how much time I have as I go through this. Let me go back into this presentation. Okay, so we're going to be talking about why you are here, like for real. Excuse me. And in that, what is your karmic challenge? Like, what is the big karmic theme that always shows up for you? What are some of the skills and the gifts that maybe you're not including, you're not paying attention to, or it kind of like, it's just like so a part of you that you just maybe don't even think that it's special. What your values are, what your mastery is, what you came here to master. And at the end of it all, it's really about your unique soul psychology. And that's actually a term that I coined. And I absolutely feel that this is something that is so left out of so many different business marketing approaches. And it really makes such a huge difference to like know this for yourself and to use it. So your ultimate purpose, it's encoded in your birth chart. And by exploring and by connecting to the energy imprints, which is exactly what the planet positions are of your chart, not only will you like know what you're here to do, but you'll know how. And most importantly, you can connect to the feeling and live your purpose viscerally, like embodying it, being it. So the key is understanding the energy signature, and that's going to be the sign and also the areas of life and the themes, which is going to be the house that is creating this key aspect of your purpose. And those are the first, I'm going to say those are the first two things that most astrologers do look at, is that energy, the sign, and the placement of it in your chart, which is the house. So your karmic challenge. Now, if you haven't yet watched the webinar on Saturn's agreements, I suggest that you do. Your soul made an agreement to be time bound. And as soon as it passed those rings of Saturn and it kept making its way down, passing through all of the planets and finally landing here on planet Earth, it agreed to be bound by the time of your life. I'm just going to ask that you mute yourself, please. If you're not muted, please mute yourself. I don't know how to make it automatic yet. And so it's like you're going to have this lifetime. You're going to be bound by this time when you're born to the moment you die for this go around. And in that time, you're going to be challenged. And these challenges are exactly what allows you to find the structure and to also establish the discipline and to mature your wisdom. These are all Saturnian themed principles. And the idea is that through your commitment throughout your lifetime, you'll be able to fulfill on those agreements that you made. So one of the first things that you really want to connect with is your Saturn's sign. And if you want to share it in the chat, you can. Towards the end, we can talk about it. But you want to like know it. You want to know where all your planetary positions are. Like, again, the sign and the house. But for sure, Saturn, it's so important. And you want to know what house, right? So the sign and the house that it's in. And if you want to do this now, and again, you can come back to this, but just like real quick, even like what you know about it. And by the way, if you're still feeling into what each sign represents, I know that there's certain signs that we feel maybe like closer to or that we understand better, and some that are just feel weird or like a stranger to us. You can use those cheat sheets that are in the resource section on VIP Member Vault. But just try it, like your Saturn sign, just like check in, okay, like write down that energy, like what do you know about the sign that your Saturn is in, and what do you know about that sign, right? And what house is it in? What themes do you know about the house that your Saturn is in? And you want to really start to look at how this combination of energy and themes show up as challenges in your life. Now, it's important to know this because it's the challenges that are giving you the way to master leaving a legacy via location, right? So Saturn rules Capricorn. Capricorn is the ruler of the 10th house, which is the house of vocation, the house of career and legacy, right? So it's through that commitment, through the commitment over time, right? That allows you to really master leaving behind that legacy. I'm still hearing like some background noise. So let me see if I can look and mute. Weird. Okay. I don't know. I hear it, but everybody seems to be on mute. Okay. So that's number one. It's just like really like, and this takes time. It takes time to really be like, yeah, I get it. Like for example, my Saturn is in the 8th house, which is a weird house. I think the 8th house is like just bizarre because it's ruled by Scorpio, because it's not obvious, because it's like we're talking about the subconscious. So it's in Cancer in the 8th house ruled by Scorpio, right? And one way that I can tell you that you can start to really connect in with the energy and just like really feel it and understand what it means for you personally is to start with the element that the sign is in, right? So for me, if it's Cancer, it's water, right? And what do we know about the water signs is that they're all very emotional, super empathic, very psychic, very intuitive, super sensitive, very, very, very have to do with our emotions, right? So my challenge is emotional. My challenge is emotional. My challenge is about like letting myself go into the deep waters of my emotions and learning how to mature that, right? And a lot of the work that I do is helping my clients being able to heal their own psyche, right? Which is their soul, and being able to embody their spiritual gifts and then be able to lead from there, right? So it's just like an example of like how you can start to like dig into what is the energy imprint that you have stamped in your birth chart. Okay, so this is number one, your karmic challenge. And I also want you, as we're going through these, just ask yourself, okay, how do I show up like this in my business, in my life, right? How do I embody it? And how do I represent this in my work? Whether it's an offer, whether it's in the language that I use, whether it's in the way that I deliver my work, whether it's in the kinds of clients that I attract, like how is this represented? And if it's not, that's exactly what this is for, is for you to like check in and start to make some changes. And of course, we can always use the WhatsApp group to ask those questions and dive in and fine tune. Okay, so let's keep going. The next piece of the puzzle in really understanding your ultimate purpose, your Dharma, is to really connect in with your skills and gifts. And I'm going to say these are hidden gifts, hidden talents, hidden skills. This is the midheaven, and it's located at the top of the chart. It's right next to the 10th house of career, vocation, and legacy. And this midheaven, it shows you those talents, skills, and gifts that are an indication of what you've accumulated throughout lifetimes. You've had many lifetimes that have put you in situations where you have had to master, and now it's just a natural gift. It's just something that naturally comes to you. And these midheaven talents, skills, and gifts, they're always going to bring you prosperity. And they're actually really essential for you to include in your offers. And in fact, these can be used to create offers, like standalone offers that are solely based off of them, off of these midheaven gifts, talents, and skills. And the other thing too is that your midheaven gifts, talents, and skills, hopefully this doesn't bother you. I keep turning on the fan because I get hot and then I get cold. But anyways, let me know if it's an issue sound-wise. The midheaven, those talents, skills, and gifts, they're going to help set you apart, and they're going to help you to be seen as unique as we combine it with everything else, unique in the marketplace, right? So look at your midheaven. And by the way, if you're using astro.com, there's always a chart, like a little legend key chart at the bottom. If you're not sure, if you're looking at it, you're like, I'm not sure, because of the degree points of where any position is falling in your chart, you can always look at the legend key, and the MC is what represents your midheaven, right? My midheaven is in Virgo. Again, how do we start breaking this down? Understanding for the midheaven, it's always going to be in that same place next to the 10th house, right? So we don't need house, but we do need to connect in with the sign, right? So Virgo, what element is it? It's earth. What do we know about the earth signs? They're all about getting grounded. They're all about, there's a seriousness to earth signs. They're very much practical. They like to analyze and be logical. And they love structure. They actually really like discipline. With Virgo in particular, Virgo's the only virgin, female, feminine archetype of the zodiac, like the only one that's an actual woman. And so if we think about the virgin, it's about purity. It's about like getting down to the truth. It's about the holistic picture, right? So one of my gifts is helping you see the whole picture and to just take an honest, truthful look at that big picture. And if there's something that you need to cleanse and detoxify, maybe like your perspective, then you do that. So your midheaven. So now let's talk about your values. Now your values are going to be composed. Let me mute you. Just hear you. I'm going to figure out how to just make this automatic mute when people come in. I don't know what happened to the other platform. It got bought off by some other company. I'm on this new platform. But all right, your values. Your values are going to be both your second house, since the second house is traditional house of finances, of your economy, of all things that are ruled by the material plane. But it's also Venus, because Venus shows you what is important to you, what you place a high value, what you appreciate, what you focus on. So it's going to be a combination of both of these things, right? So obviously we are talking about the second house, so we already know what house, right? But you want to look at the sign in your second house, right? And this second house, it shows you what is important to you on this material plane. It's also the foundation of the solution that you solve for your clients. It's like the way that you solve that root, the problem at the root for them. And this you must have as a focus point in your work in order for you to be able to reap the financial rewards of your services, of your products, right? So like check in, okay, like what's in my second house? What sign is in there? And am I embodying that, right? So for me, in my second house, I have Capricorn. And Capricorn, again, it's an earth sign. It's very much about like this seriousness, but it's about like foundation. And it's really about like leaving a legacy. It's not just like working. I feel like Taurus is more like working, let's make the money and let's enjoy life. Like that's Taurus. Capricorn is more like let's work and let's leave behind something incredible that's going to be around in 100 years, right? And so in my work, this is really about like helping you, one, definitely like mature the emotional aspect and mature your vision so that it stops being about like what is happening right now. And it really is about what is going to live on when you're gone. Like, how are you actually changing the world for the better? How are you leaving the world better than you found it? And in fact, this is something that I say often that I actually learned from one of my teachers is that every single sign before it teaches that sign how to be it. So for example, Aquarius follows Capricorn. Aquarius, what is Aquarius about? Community. It's the humanitarian. It is here to improve, to take humanity. And who teaches Aquarius to be that? Capricorn does, right? So that's the first piece, is like really connect in. And again, you could just like write down the sign, write down the key words. Like when you think about that sign, what comes to mind for you? And then you can put it together. Now, your Venus indicates what you value and also what you must embody to be valued, right? For me, I have Venus in Leo. It's in my 9th house. Leo is all about creatively expressing, like visibility, being seen, being a leader. And that's definitely something that I've had to allow myself to step into because I used to totally hide. I was, well, for one, I'm an introvert. And two, I was just deathly afraid of speaking. I don't know if I've ever shared the story, but I feel like it's appropriate for now. When I first started off as a holistic health coach, I think it was 2008, 9 at this 2009. I feel like, anyway, something like that. I made pamphlets. Okay, so it was old school. It was 2008. Before social media, traditional marketing, made pamphlets, put them in the health food store, and somebody actually called me and they were interested and left me a message on my landline phone. It's like, it's so dated. But do you know that I was so scared of calling this person back? Okay, it was like that level of fear around like speaking and being seen. And many public speaking classes later, and running events and getting on stage, and now I actually really enjoy it. But it was something that I had to embody, right? So I want you to really look at your Venus sign. Are you embodying your Venus sign? Like really embodying it. And maybe there's parts where you are and parts where you're not, right? And then like, where does it show up? 9th house for me, that's teaching. That's higher education. That's like not only teaching, but it's higher education teaching. It's sharing my own philosophy, and really helping people expand their consciousness, right? So like, where does it show up for you? What house is your Venus in, right? So the idea is that you're going to combine these two energies. And again, I want to give you some questions. I love reflective questions. I feel like it's one of the best ways that we can learn about anything, but especially about ourselves, right? Ask yourself, do you deliver your work in this way that it's reflective of your values? And do you embody your values? Like I can surely say, I've come a long way. I definitely, even like putting together these webinar classes, for me, it's fun. I get to be creative. I get to pick the colors and the pictures, and it's fun. So are you embodying your values? Like, how's it showing up for you? I think that this is probably a key aspect in understanding. If you feel that you're not receiving the prosperity, like if you feel like you're not attracting clients, look at your Venus. Look and see if you're like stepping into owning that energy. If you're not, then that could be a clue and a sign as to why maybe you're not making as much money as you'd like, or you're not attracting the right kinds of clients. But it's definitely a really good way to tap into what could be going on energetically, right? Everything is energetic. Okay. Your mastery. Now, this is the North Node. I really like this picture of the compass. I feel like it's so much about like the North Node, because the North Node is that compass, and it's showing you the path that you're here to walk. And as we know, the nodes come in pairs. The South Node shows you where you've come from, right? It's like I always imagine that we're climbing some kind of mountain, right? And the node, especially the nodes, but especially the North Node, is really wanting to show you how you can fully be on your path. And it's about having mastery over the qualities that your North Node is pointing you in, right? So these are definitely embodiments that must be taken into consideration actually on a daily basis. It's like if you're walking that path, well, you don't stop walking that path ever, right? And this is why they're very personal to who you are and who you came here to be in this lifetime. And it's going to really like ask you to check in, like, hey, are you doing this every day? The North Node is this compass. It's showing. Did I just repeat that? I did. Okay, X that out. But anyway, these embodiments are things that you really do need to practice and apply. Did I just say that? I did. Okay, so I just basically wrote that twice. Ignore all of that. My North Node is in Scorpio. It's in the 12th house. And again, when you're connecting with this information, again, ask yourself, okay, what element is it? What do I know about the energy of that element, right? Scorpio is a water sign. All of the water signs have this depth to them. They're, again, very emotional. Scorpio is the most intense one of all. And it's very mysterious. Scorpio is represented by the symbol of the scorpion. It's this little creature that likes to bury, and it kind of lives in the dark. So my North Node is really asking me to befriend my shadow self, to like trust what I can't see, to learn to see in the dark, and really just to like develop my spiritual gifts, since the 12th house ruled by Pisces is all about connecting with your spiritual gifts and really using that to evolve, right? And so again, as you're going through all of these, as you're going through your Saturn, as you're going through your midheaven, your second house, your Venus, your North Node, I want you to ask yourself, okay, one, am I embodying this? Am I living my life like this? Am I showing up in my business like this? Do my offers reflect this energy, right? These energy imprints. Does my methodology speak about these energies? Does the way that I market reflect these energies, right? Like I am not a person that's always out there. I'm a very private person, right? I have my way of connecting with people and bringing people into my world and growing community, but I don't like doing what a lot of people are doing. It usually If it's what most people are doing, I don't want to do it like that. Um, and I know that about myself, but I've figured out a way that it just works for me, right? And this is what your ultimate purpose is all about: is you understanding, okay, how can I take all of this information and have it work for me so that I know that I'm on my path, so that I know that I'm actually walking my path and I'm walking in a way that makes sense for me. Now, all of this um, also really just boils down to you understanding what your unique soul psychology is. And again, this is a term that I coined, and I relate it to the unique selling point. I actually think this is better um, because it's a natural energy stamp that you carry that's based off of the experiences and wisdom you own as a result from living and integrating your life, right? So your USP is comprised of all of your past experiences, and especially those that have marked you the most, such as trauma, crisis, challenges, illness, disease, accidents, conscious and subconscious memories, as well as your most joyous events. But again, as you can see, I live this. I live really like reflecting, going to the depth, really connecting in with, okay, like this is that Scorpio energy. And this is also that Saturn energy of understanding, how do I have emotional mastery, right? And teaching my clients how to do this as well. I find that it's usually the darkest nights of the soul, those hardest times of our lives that really have so much potency and carry so much wisdom for what we're here to really teach our clients, really teach, because it's so unique to us, right? So I definitely, I'm going to share some homework with you as well. And I'm also going to open for questions, but I want you to start thinking about, what is my unique soul psychology? Like, what makes me up? What have I been through that maybe I tucked away, I put away, I haven't thought about lately, but it's powerful. And it could definitely be something that would add an edge, right? Which is actually what traditional marketing speaks about, which is the unique selling point, right? But we're going to replace it with the unique soul psychology. So, for you to really start to uncover this based off your life experience, I want you to ask yourself, once you like connect in, and you maybe you spend some time, and I'm actually going to do a whole separate class. It's going to be a bonus I'm going to do for the club, all on your unique soul psychology and how to really connect in with it. But I want you to ask yourself, how can I use the wisdom I have gained to take my work to the next level? And how can my particular combination of experience, skill, and wisdom serve to help others better in a way that other people are not doing? Now, I do want to say something about this, and I think it's important too. When we've experienced, when we've gone through something challenging, traumatic, crisis-like, difficult, to give yourself space, right? It's not like, maybe you had something shocking happen last week and now you're like, okay, let me use this. I would say give yourself time, right? And you know that enough time has passed when you can look at the situation and you don't feel emotionally charged by it. If you're still feeling tender, sensitive, whatever the emotion is, then it's not yet time, right? It's like, again, this is all what has to do with emotional maturity and just like knowing and understanding when it is time. And I'm going to say it's like fine wine. Like, when it's ripened enough, when it's sat long enough, and then you can pop the bottle, right? But these are two really important questions. And I want you to really like dive into this, connect in with this wisdom that maybe you haven't thought about it. Maybe you've been so focused on like what you think is going to sell, or what you think people are interested in, or the way that you think you should be marketing, or whatever it is, right? Which is coming from the outside, that you have forgotten that there's actually a lot of wisdom that you're carrying that comes from the inside, and that makes a huge difference in putting your business out there. Have it really be seen as something different, because it's just exuding with the energy of you. Okay. And that's what Gnosis marketing is all about: knowing yourself and then using that wisdom to share your wisdom in the world. So, uncovering your ultimate purpose, I'm going to give you these other 3 pointers. And one is, I want you to look at your daily life habits, your routines, and your schedule, and just look at how are you spending your time. Okay. Like, just honestly, no judgment. As my Virgo sun has to remind myself, it's like, okay, we're not going to criticize. We're just going to look. We're just going to observe. Okay. But that's number one. I want you to look at where you feel you are resisting change. And this is really just like, what aspects of yourself feel maybe avoidant, afraid, or distracted. I feel like distracted is a really good one that helps you like pinpoint something that maybe you weren't paying attention to, and that maybe you need to be paying attention to. And then the other one, the third one is, I want you to look at where you, I think I missed a word there, where you feel misaligned in your life and work, right? Where do you feel off? Like something is missing or is maybe causing you confusion. I feel like those are very important clues, like the feeling or the experience of being distracted and being confused. Like, I'm not quite clear. That's an indication that you can look at it like something is off, right? Maybe you just need, it just needs a little bit of fine tuning, right? So these are 3. And by the way, I'm going to put the slide deck on VIP Member Vault as well, if you want to go back and look at these. And I'm going to fix that other slide that has the repeated copy on there. But the homework that I want to give you, oh, actually, not yet. I want to talk about practical application. And again, you're going to look at your life. You're going to look at your business. And you can use all of these questions. I would say journal on them. But ask yourself, how do you live and embody the energy codes of your birth chart? How do you meet the challenges of Saturn? Are you avoiding it? Are you distracted from it? Or have you forgotten about it? How do you master the qualities of your North Node? For me with Scorpio, it's like every day I have to do spiritual practices and rituals, every day. It's like I literally sit in the dark, I light a candle, and I'm like, okay, let's connect in. Ask yourself, in what ways do you prioritize what you value? Do you give yourself the space? How can you allow your Venus to guide you in being valued? Again, for me with that Venus and Leo, showing up to be a leader, showing up as a creative, expressive leader, right? And then what skills and talents that your midheaven shows are being left out, or maybe they can be highlighted more. Again, remember, anything that you put out, any offer that you do around just like your midheaven will always make you money. It just comes naturally to you. It's like super easy. Okay, now the homework. All right, so I want you to write out the themes for each component of your purpose. I want you to highlight keywords. Sometimes it's just easy to just, if you're not going to write out a full phrase, but just like whatever comes to mind, adjectives that would describe the sign, right? So the keywords that point to not only what maybe you've mastered in that energy or in those areas and that theme. Like I would say I'm an excellent teacher, but I was already a teacher. I was teaching high school art and photography for 12 years, right? But when you write it down, ask yourself, okay, what have I mastered and what am I still working through? Because that gives you a really good indication of what you need to be doing to fulfill your purpose. you want to connect to your USP, your unique soul psychology, I would write out a life review and just check in. Are you leaving anything out of your vocation that is important? It's important because it's had an impact on you. It's had an impact on your psyche. It's marked you. It's like you can't forget that, right? Like these pivotal years, pivotal parts, phases of your life. I want you to also list out ways that you can start to incorporate or highlight these more into your offers, into your message, into your methodology, into the way that you deliver your work, into your biography, all of your little bios everywhere, your online presence, your brand, right? So this is how you can really feel that, okay, I'm aligned. Like what I'm doing, I'm going to stop sharing here for a second and actually come into, and I'll open up for questions in a moment. But you really want to feel like, okay, I'm connected. Like, when you're so connected because everything just makes so much sense. And, one thing that I've experienced lately is like time starts to expand. Like you just have time to get all of the things done that you said you were going to do that day. And then it results in exactly what you were intending for it to result, right? Filling your workshops, bringing in new clients, having people ask you about your work, wanting to work with you, right? All of these things, just opportunities being created for you, right? So this is how we live our ultimate purpose and just walk the Dharma. Okay. Now, questions. I'm opening up for questions. Also, if you want to like come on screen, you can. Take a sip of this.
Hey, Monica. So I don't really have a question, but maybe you can help me through this. So for some reason, it's hard for me to speak about overcoming arthritis and my chronic illnesses, even though I have, but it's like I don't want to promise people that I can help them do all the work I did, because I did a lot of work with different coaches and I didn't master all what they mastered to help me, but I can at least help them with the emotional aspect, right? So do I have to be clear on my delivery about that?
So let's look at your Saturn, right?
Okay.
Let's look at like how is this showing up as a challenge for you, right? Because you're talking about a challenge, right? And your Saturn is in the 12th house. There's something kind of about it, right? That isn't, it's not fully like where it shows up is in your subconscious, right? It's in Libra.